Hi everyone, this is Satyajit. So in our last videos, we discussed about what is tenancy and types of tenancy. So in this video, we are going to discuss about what is VPC and how to create VPC and how to use the VPC. Okay, so before to start, so VPC stands for Virtual Private Cloud. So Virtual Private Cloud means the term is virtual. It means it is not physical available, it is virtual. So private cloud means like we already discussed earlier, right? What is three types of cloud, like public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud. So here VPC stands for virtual private cloud. It means private cloud is nothing but your own data center, right? Private cloud, your own data center. So virtual private cloud means you're creating your own data center, but that is virtually. Okay, so in AWS we have different region. Okay, region, as I said, is a geographical region. So in each region you are going to create your own VPC depending upon your requirement. Let's say there is a customer is part of Mumbai, so you are going to create a VPC in the Mumbai region. If customer is part of Singapore, so you can create the VPC for that customer in the Singapore region. It means VPC is the building block. Okay, VPC means, just understand, it's area. It means you are reserving one area in the AWS, or you are creating your own data center virtually in the AWS in a particular region. Okay, so as I said, right, let's say there is a region. So this is one region. Okay, so in the region, let's say this is a Mumbai region. Just understand, this is a Mumbai region. So in the Mumbai region, you are creating your own data center. Let's say 1 minute. So in the Mumbai region, you are creating a VPC. VPC means, as I said, it is a space. So you created one space here. So other spaces are available that people can use, other people can use. It means the space which you have taken, that is belong to you. No one cannot enter to your space and no one cannot access your applications or server, anything, whatever you are going to use. Only you can use it. Okay, so that is, so this space we have created, that is called VPC. So to create a VPC, what are the things mandatory? One is, so to create a VPC, one thing is, what is the CIDR range? Okay, which we already discussed. CIDR range means the IP range. What is the IP range you want to give to your VPC? Okay, that is one. Let's say I already told what are the private IP ranges. So the class A, it is from 10.0.0.0 to 10.255.255.255. And from the class B series, it is 172 series. And from the class C, it is 192 series. You can pick any of the range. Let's say I'm choosing 10.0.0.0/16/16. So another thing is the subnet mask. The lower the subnet mask, the higher the IP range. It means now the subnet mask is 16. It means how to calculate? The calculate formula is 2 to the power 32 minus x. It means 2 to the power 32 minus 16, which is 2 to the power 16, which is the big, very big range. Okay, so to avoid that, right, you can take, depending upon your requirement, you can, this is not a best good practice for the best architectural design, because there is a requirement of only one server. Why to choose that big range? So the higher the number of subnet masks, the lower is the IP range. It means if the slash equal to, let's say, 24, so the IP will be 2 to the power 32 minus 24, which is 2 to the power 8, equal to 256 IP range. So for the testing purpose of practical, you can choose anything. So I just randomly taken 16. You can try anything, any one of your IP address. So that is the mandatory field. Next one is which tenancy. By default, it is the default tenancy. If you want dedicated, you can go, but dedicated is a costly, so you can choose for the default tenancy. That's it. And what is the name of the VPC? So what is the name of the VPC? Let's say I'm giving VPC A, anything. So first of all, you should give to a name of the VPC and which tenancy you are going to create and what is the CIDR range. And there is something called tag. Tag means it's a label. Like, let's say you may have multiple surnames, or if you have multiple you may have multiple nicknames. Let's say your name is X. Someone some people call in different names. So these just like tags. So in the VPC, you can specify the tags. Okay, let us jump to the AWS console and create a VPC. So I am in Singapore region. Let me go to the Mumbai region because I'm part of India, so it's nearby. So I'm creating and going to the Mumbai region. After here, multiple VPCs already there. Okay, so to avoid that to conflict, let me go to the Singapore region. You may try with any of their region. Okay, and after that, just click on the create VPC. Once you create VPC, so there are two things. One is VPC only. It means you are creating only VPC, or there is something called VPC and more. It means VPC and all its components. So as such, I'm just creating only VPC. So first is, as I said, the name. Let me give something name. Let's say VPC A. Okay. After that, saying IPv4 range. Okay, and there is something called IPv6 range. Okay, there is saying, but I am only restricting to IPv4, so I can give only randomly selected IPv4. By default, if you see, IPv4 is selected and IPv6 is a no option is selected. So I can give this either 10.0.0.0/16. Once the CIDR range is provided, then you have to choose tenancy, either default and dedicated. So by default selected. Okay, and then tag. One tag I give a name equal to VPC A, and you can add any number of tagging. So I click purpose equal to, let's say, testing. Something I give the random name. Any name you can give. And after that, you can just click on the create VPC. Once you click on the VPC, now my VPC is in available state. Okay, how you'll verify? So now VPC state equal to available. But there are three things, like you remember, you only give the name and you only give the IP address. Other thing, you did not share anything. But if you can see, the VPC ID is by default they collected, because once you give the VPC name, it will randomly VPC is created. It is a ID and the data center terminology. Okay, and tenancy is okay, and default VPC. So okay, there are two types of VPC. Okay, one is default VPC. It means like in every region, okay, there is a VPC created by AWS itself in each region, okay, which is 172 series. So that is the default VPC which AWS created. Other VPC which you are going to create, that are called as a custom VPC, because you are creating all custom, your custom settings you are going to create, and everything you need to manage. That is called custom VPC. So that's the reason the default VPC option is selected no. But if you go to the other VPC, there the default VPC option should be yes. I will just show you that. After that, something called DHCP option set. Okay, so DHCP, which you know, like DHCP stands for Dynamic Host Configurations Protocol. It means DHCP work is to, like, it will give the IP address to the respective connected devices to your network, and it will randomly pick the any IP. So that is the DHCP option set. Okay, and if you see the CIDR, which we already provided, and DNS host name is disabled, and DNS resolution is enabled, that we can discuss later. And there is something called route table. Okay, and there is something called network ACL. Okay, so these three things by default created. Okay, whenever we create a VPC, we only specified the IP range and which tenancy is it, and after that we created it and we added some tag. But by default, few of the components are automatically created, which is nothing but your DHCP option set, your main route table, and your network ACL. Okay, by default it is created. Okay, now your VPC is in creation stage. If you click on the VPC now here, so the VPC A. So, but here if you see, click on this VPC, see the default VPC equal to yes. It means this VPC already created by AWS. That's the reason it's mentioned as default VPC equal to yes. So now VPC is created. What's the next? Okay, so one area is created, like we occupied some of the area in the AWS data center, which is in the Singapore. Okay, we created it. Okay, so VPC is a regional resource. VPC is not a zonal resource. Zonal in the sense availability zone. VPC is a regional resource. So there are resources like the service which is present in the AWS. Some of the services are region service. Some of the services are global service, which will restrict all the region. And some of the services are zonal service, like it will be restricted to a particular zone. Whereas the VPC is a regional service. It is not. So that's the reason whenever we created the VPC, we did not specify any of the availability zone. Okay, we just only selected the region here. So VPC is a regional service. So now my VPC is created. What's the next? Next is like some area I occupied in the AWS region. Now to make it work, okay, to work the VPC, we require some terminology called internet gateway in the AWS terminology. The work of internet gateway is it will give the internet. It means inside that area which I reserved, in that area, if I am going to create anything, if they require internet access for that, without internet gateway, it cannot be achievable, right? So for that reason, internet gateway is mandatory. And the internet gateway relationship with VPC is one-on-one. It means one internet gateway can attach to a VPC only one at a time. So VPC and internet gateway relations is one-on-one. They can only, so one VPC can have one internet gateway, or one internet gateway can only connect to one VPC at a time. Okay. So next term is like first we created the VPC. Next is we need to create an internet gateway. So here in the left hand side, there is called internet gateway. If you click on the internet gateway, so there is already internet gateway is there, and which is state is attached. So as I said, internet gateway and VPC relation is one-on-one. If you want to attach, just see it like I already the internet gateway selected. Once you click on actions attach, see this option is blur. It means you cannot attach to another VPC. Okay, cannot attach. How you can attach it? You can detach first. Once it is detached, then you can attach it. If we detach this one, then this default VPC will not work. You cannot create, you cannot use any resources. So for that reason, I am going to create a new internet gateway, and the name is, let's say I'm given IGW internet gateway -a, and here only that name. Tag if you want to give, or else you can just create an internet gateway. Once the internet gateway is created, it will be in the detached state. If you see, the state is detached. Okay, if you go internet gateway, state is detached. So you need to attach that internet gateway to a VPC. So you just select the internet gateway and go to the actions and attach to the VPC and specify which VPC. So now I have two VPC, but why only one VPC it is showing? It because already the default VPC has internet gateway. So that's the reason it is not showing. If I remove that, then it will show the two VPC. Okay, as this VPC A doesn't have any internet gateway, so it is showing that. So I just need to select that and attach it. So after that, my internet gateway will be in the attached state. Okay, so I have created a VPC, I have created the internet gateway. Then what's next? Next is like I created a very big area, or I reserve one big area. Then I need to separate it. Just understand, I have a big room or big building. So I need to partition the room, like someone will be the bedroom, someone will drawing room. So like that, I taken the big space and I access the internet. But how to make secure? Like secure in the sense like so some of resources are public, some resources are private. So I need to make some space. Okay, so that we called as a subnet. Subnetting means like here, just like in IP, subnetting means dividing the bigger IP range to smaller range. Like that, same concept in subnet means in the VPC, the big area, if you divide it smaller chunk, that we call as a subnet. It means VPC is the big house and subnet is the inside that the floor, inside that the rooms. Okay, so now I record two subnet. One is a public subnet where the resources will be public, anyone can use it, and another pair of subnet which is called a private subnet. Okay, let us go and create a subnet. If you click on this subnet, okay, let us jump in my diagram. It means now my VPC is there. Inside that VPC, so what I did, I created one internet gateway, and this internet gateway is already attached to that VPC. Okay, it is done now. I will just write a name for better understanding. So this is IGW -a, and this is your VPC-A. It's already attached. Now inside that VPC, I create two pairs of subnet. So this is one subnet and this is another subnet. Okay, so I will just named it as this is public A, public subnet A, and this is your private subnet A. Private subnet A. Okay, so let's go to the subnet and create a subnet, and here on which VPC you are going to create the, so now two VPC is showing, so but I need to create in VPC A, so select that. Okay, and it's saying what is the CIDR range. Then after that subnet, so as I said, I will give public -A, and so now subnet is a availability zone or zonal resource. Okay, so that's the reason it is showing which availability zone. So Singapore have three availability zone: AP Southeast 1A, 1B, 1C. So anyone can choose it. So if you don't choose it, it will choose by its own. So let me choose AP South 1A. After that, the CIDR block. It means the bigger area is the VPC, but after that you are creating the smaller area. So that smaller area also, what is the CIDR range for that, right? So for that reason, you need to give the IP address, and that IP address should be part of your parent. It means the parent IP address is 10.0.0.16, right? In between the 10.0.0.16, you have to choose any range. If you randomly choose 20 series, another one, it is not going to create. If you create it, it is throw you the error because the CIDR address is not within the CIDR address of the VPC. So for that reason, let's say I'm giving 10.00/24, some smaller area. If you take 16 means all IP gone, you cannot create another subnet. So for that reason, I choose the smaller one. 24 means 256 IP addresses, and that's it. I create the subnet. So now one pair of subnet is created. Now next subnet, so private A. So we need to select the VPC A, and the name is private-A, and availability zone. Let's say I'm not selecting anything. I'm giving 10.0.1.0/24. Okay, you can, so as I already explained how IP calculations works, you can go ahead and calculate it. How much, what is the first IP and what is the last IP, and you can put in the comments. Okay, in the YouTube comments, once I upload the video, you can put into the comments what is the first IP and what is the last IP. Okay, once this is done, then you just create the subnet. So I did not select any availability zone. Now create subnet. It will randomly took which one. You just verify here, AP Southeast 1A. Okay, so now my two subnet is created. If you see the diagram, so public A is created, private A is created. Okay, again, so to make it work, okay, so now the VPC A, I attach the internet gateway, but for the subnet, we just named it as public subnet. So it will not work as a public, right? Let's say I created a house, and inside the house, I created a room. I will say that this is my bedroom. If I'll not put all the details, like all the bed and everything, how this will be a bedroom if nothing is there? Or let's say I'll put the washroom, but all this, the commode and everything is not there. How someone will treat as a, it is a washroom, nothing is there inside. Same way, I given that I added, created two subnet. One is public A and another is private A. But how this will be public and private? So we need to do something, right? So to do that, so what will happen? Okay. So while we created the VPC, okay, we understand after while creating the VPC, there are two things is automatically created. Three things, like one is DHCP option sets. Sorry. So three things automatically created. One is DHCP option set. Second one is route table. And third one is the network ACL, NACL, right? So three things. So the VPC has one route table. It means both the subnet, the public A and private A, both the subnet, it also share the same route table. It means the VPC has the route table. Inside the VPC, whatever the resources that's there, that resources also belong to the same route table. We just verified. See now the VPC. If you select the VPC A, so VPC A route table ID is, click on the VPC, and the route table ID is ending with 10D, right? 10D. Now, if you go to the subnet and select the public A subnet and go to the route table, it is also 10D. And if you select to the private A route table, his route table also 10D. So VPC, and inside the VPC, if I create 10 more subnet also, both are having the same route table, because the parent has the same. VPC has the one route table, and subnet are nothing but child inside that VPC. So they also share the same route table. So to make a subnet as a public subnet, okay, there must be internet gateway should be attached in the route table. Okay, once again I'm saying, to make a subnet as a public subnet, you need to add a route into the public subnet route table to the internet gateway. How to do that, I will just let you know. If you go to the subnet, it means this is very complicated. You can understand in detail. So you can just click on this subnet, can go to the route table, click on this route table and select that route table. There is something called routes. In the routes, you need to edit routes, add a route, and you should add 0.0.0 and towards internet gateway. Okay, once you add this, then only it will be behave as a public subnet. Okay, or else it will not be a public subnet. Okay, so the subnet should be public if it has a route to the internet gateway in his route table. Okay, once again I will show you the procedures. You can just go to this subnet, select your subnet. After that, go to the route table, click on this route table, and then select the route table, go to the routes, edit routes, and here you need to add route, and here you can give 0.0.0.0 and towards internet gateway. That's it. And I cannot save it because it's a duplicate record, so I'm removing it. Okay, so that is, so now that we call as a public subnet. So now we are good. It means now this public subnet, and in this public subnet route table, I added the internet gateway. That is fine. So now that is public. But as this VPC having one route table, right? Let us verify. So in this VPC having only one route table, which is ending with 10D. And if you go to the subnet, now public subnet having the same route table, and it has an internet gateway to the 0. It means this is a public subnet. If you go to the private subnet, his route table also same, and there is also a route to the internet gateway. It means both the subnets are public. There is no subnet is private. Both the subnet are public, because as I said, if there is a route, this will be there 0.0.0 to the internet gateway. That means public. It means my private subnet also has a route table. It's attached to internet gateway. That is also public. And my public subnet is also a public. If I remove that, how to remove it? You can just go to the route table and select this route table, go to the routes, edit routes, and just remove it. If you remove it, then total internet gateway route will be removed. So both will be remain private. Then the question is, how I'm going to make something as a public and someone as a private. Okay, so all this game played by the route table only. So what I will do, I will just create another route table. So I will show you diagrammatically. So what will happen? You can just create a new route table. You can just create a new route table. So route table name will be, let's say, RT private. Let's say I can just keep RT private. Okay, and on this route table I can attach this subnet. It means we separated the route. So this subnet have one route table where internet gateway is attached, and this subnet have different route table where there is nothing is attached. So it means that is a private. Okay, so how to do that? You can just go to this route table, create a route table, and let's say I'm giving RT private. Okay, select which VPC, VPCA, and that's it. Create a route table. Now I have created a route table, but how to attach to that subnet? Like on this diagram, I created a route table. How I will attach to this subnet to the route table? You can just, there is something called subnet association. You can just click on this subnet association. So there is no subnet. You can just do edit subnet association, select the private one and save it. That's it. We are good now. Now verify. We can just go to the subnet. Now public subnet, there is a route table called 10D and it has a route to the internet. Okay, so this is public subnet. Now we can go to the private subnet. If you see the route table, there is something new subnet, a new route table active private, and there is no route. It means this is private. So our assumptions and everything is good now. Okay, so what we understood from these videos, how to create a VPC. We require the IP address, we require the name, I require the tag, and tag is optional. And once the VPC is created, by default, three things will be created. One thing is DHCP option set, route table, and network ACL. Once that is created, to make it work to the VPC, internet gateway is mandatory. So we created one internet gateway and we need to attach that internet gateway to the VPC. And the relationship between the internet gateway and VPC is one-on-one. It means one internet gateway can only attach to a VPC. Next that, now the big room we occupied or VPC we have created, and how to create inside that smaller room. That smaller room is called as a subnet. So we need to create different subnet. So there is something resources are called public and some resources are private. So we created two subnet. One is public subnet and one is private subnet. So to make a subnet as public, there must be a route to the internet gateway on the route table of that particular subnet. So what we did, we just go to the public subnet. We went to the public subnet and go to the route table and edit route, not associations. You can just inside the route table and routes and edit routes. We added this route. Okay, so now this is our work is done. Now that is public subnet. But as the VPC having the same route table which is shared between the two VPCs, the private subnet also got the same route table who has internet access. It means that will not work. So to make it work, what we did, we created a separate route table and that route table we associated with the private subnet. And that is done. So now after that, we have two per subnet. One is public, which is internet gateway added to its routes. Another is subnet. Another subnet is private, which doesn't have any routes to the internet. So that's it. We understood from these videos. Next videos, we will test it. Like we just theoretically did it, but how to verify it? We will verify creating a virtual machine in the public subnet and another virtual machine in the private subnet. And we will try to access from publicly outside. If we are able to access to the public subnet, then it's fine. It will work fine. Our assumption is correct. And the private server should not be accessible. If should not accessible, then we are also good because our assumption is private server cannot be accessible from outside. Okay. And we will do that in next videos. If you have any error and issues, put it in the comments and I will help you out. Thank you for watching my video.